Let's look at the operations and facilities part of it. They play a major role in every single business. Where is the location? The geographic location is a big deal. If you're involved in dealing with a lot of semis, you need to have space to have your semis get off a local freeway, hopefully nearby, and be able to pull in and have a loading dock for you. Sometimes places don't have a loading dock and makes life absolutely miserable if you're dealing with trucks on a regular basis. In retail, sometimes you have to have a loading dock as well. If you're going to have retail, how close is it access to your customers? How close is it really to access for your employees as well? The location itself, you're going to pay attention to all the different things. Are you close to manufacturing? If you're going to be hauling stuff by rail, do you have access, quick access to a rail yard? Can you actually have a pull off and have a box car dropped off in your factory for you? You really want to pay attention to all those details before you even think about locating. It could be you're renting a place. What does that mean? And how can you back a semi truck and a semi trailer in? Is that part of your overall operations? Are you focused solely on the retail aspect? So pay attention to what your facility is in relation to the industry that you're in and how you're going to be using it on a regular basis. Look in your labor costs, the resources you have, time to market. Sometimes you're in a bind and you need to have a place. I need to have this functional in 3 months. 3 months sounds like a long time here on the video, but if you're in business, 3 months can be a short time period. And also, a lot of times, to change a facility from what we call a vanilla shell, in other words, something with nothing at all in it, into a functional business can take 6 to 7 months, which is pretty common depending what the business is. So look on the operations plan. What about the how much can you outsource? If you look in companies, we talked about the aspect of a virtual corporation previously. And for instance, Nike. Nike is a shoe design company, now a clothing design company, and a giant marketing company, but they don't make anything. They outsource everything. They even offshore things and ship it to different countries where it's made. So they do a lot of outsourced engineering, design, manufacturing. They create relationships with suppliers online. You have a whole series of things now you can do on a global perspective and reduce your overall cost. So it depends. Also, you have to deal with the facility in the future. Okay, what about the aspect of remote work? What is your corporate philosophy on work? Okay, if it's a small business, that's one thing. If it's a large business, can you have somebody actually working remotely 5 days a week full time? Can you actually have them working 2 days a week remotely? That changes the equation for your employees. If it's 2 days a week, maybe they could handle an hour commute to come in those 2 days that they work. Otherwise, it could be a horrific job to sit down there and drive an hour each way. Even though millions of people do that, it can really be really tough. Telecommuting depends what you're doing. Look at the aspect of remote work on top of that. Facility layout, you're looking at a changed world. Now we're looking at facilities. A lot of times we used to have what we call bullpens, where you have really a whole series of cubicles going right down the line. People really don't want that. If they can do that, they prefer to have quiet when they're working. We've been so spoiled at remote work that a lot of times, even when you have people working together, they're looking at different ways as to how they can sit down there and have something specialized for them, and maybe a corner or by themselves for whatever purposes they have. So look on the layout for the resources. How close are the people to the resources they need to get their job done? And a lot of things depends on the service and the manufacturing. You want to make certain that it's efficient. So on facility layout, you have to really pay attention to the aspect of the assembly line layout. Make certain that all your materials to be on that assembly line have quick access to them. Fixed position, can you change things quickly to sit down there and adapt to a new environment? Can you sit down and load things quickly? Can you change the way you load things? Can you sit down and have a semi-trailer, then also load a pickup truck? It's going to depend what you have, and yet pre-planning helps an awful lot. If you pre-plan a lot of your product layout and also your delivery layout, it's going to help you move things quickly and going from really something thrown together to something very professional, and actually making certain you don't have injuries in the process. Here's a process layout over here: storage, cutting, stamping, deburring. You have a whole series of things in the process. It depends where you're at. I've worked a couple of assembly lines in my career pathway, and it's always been interesting. Sometimes you sit down and it makes sense, and other times there is no sense in the process. It depends what the company is. But no matter what you do, you always have a way of getting things done. Step one, step two, step three, step four. And in the process, got to make sure everybody is safe. Sometimes you have a module layout that can accommodate changes in demands. People are moving, says, well, I want to do this, I want to do this, and you may have to customize your layout just to fit a new customer. And if you have a really well-designed layout, you can shift things quickly in the process. Other times you have a fixed position, this house is going to be here. But it's so much easier if it's closer to my business. I'm sorry, it's a house. You don't do that. You have a fixed position layout where you have to bring everybody into that position to get the project done. Facility locations and the layouts and remote work, these are really three of the biggest things when we talk about facilities in relationship to operations for effective communication, effective work practices, and also effective getting to and from the facility and making certain that facility is primed and ready to sit down and get the work done that you need to as a company. Take care.